Whatever your gambling goal, be it fun, comps, or making money, there are several common skills to which we aren't born knowing. Frankly, I was surprised by one skill, and it's critical to you having more fun, earning more complimentary gifts, and making more money. If you are here in the live chat, please make your guesses. And if you're watching this live stream as a recording, pause the video and comment below with what you think this most critical skill to making a profit at slots is. I'm interested in your answers. And of course, I'll be taking your questions because this is a live stream. I'm only saying that because, of course, the people who are live here now know it's a live stream, but you might be watching this after the fact. Hello to you watching this recording. Thank you for being here, and be sure to subscribe for notifications so you can have your questions answered the next time I do one of these. But either way, stick around and I'm sure it will be of value to you, even if you are watching this after the fact. But those of you who are here live, thank you so much. If you have a question, use #question. That's so I can be sure to spot. Okay. Use #question. That's so I can be sure to spot your question to me instead of comments in the live chat to each other. After all, this is also a community video where friends check in about how their slots play has been going lately. Or if there's a video of them on a zip line. Thank you to my moderator, Paula, for again being my moderator. We are old friends. 30 years plus. And thanks to the other creators of slots channels who are quietly watching my live streams. I'm glad so many of you have decided to watch. Educating yourself is important, and the gradual passing down of my concepts onto your audience members is how our industry grows and changes. So please enjoy the show. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at john@professorslots.com. If you're considering starting your own slots channel, I encourage you to do so. You wouldn't be the first for my audience to do it, and you'd be welcomed. As a podcaster or YouTuber, talk about the goings on at your local casino. Promotions, rumors, what happened the other night, and lots more. You are sure to find an appreciative audience that wishes they'd thought of doing it. Whichever you choose, jump in. The water's just fine. Improve your slots play in 30 days or less with my 30 days to play slots smarter and win. You'll also get 3 free valuable bonuses. Let me share the screen. You also get 3 free valuable bonuses, including a 1-month free membership to my community support, to my Slots Enthusiast Growth Network, where you get community support and accountability. Visit professorslots.com/30 days to learn more about the free bonuses, course content, and testimonials from the over 500 participants. And I want to share that the price of the course is increasing again at the end of this month. In 12 days, 5 hours, 56 minutes, 24 seconds, it will no longer be 40% off for an $80 savings as of midnight on Sunday, July 31st, as shown in this countdown clock. If you've purchased the course, you're good to go as you have lifetime access. But if you haven't purchased the course, if you've been on the fence about it, now is the time to get it. Over 500 course participants, all satisfied. Can't be wrong. Act now. Have you answered my question? What is the most critical skill to a profitable slots journey? Let's look through the comments. Hello, attorney. Hello, Flip. Hello, Decal. Hello, Jan, who says leaving with your winnings. Absolutely. It's the second most important thing is a distant second. And we'll talk about some of that. Awareness, yes. That is following your plan. We will talk about each of these. Absolutely. And John says, I'm in Texas and we only have bingo slots. Are there any techniques for that type of slots? Yes, there is. And we'll come into the the question section after I talk about this topic for about 10, 15 minutes, and I'll come back to your questions. Good question. And Decal says he loves the class so far. Good, I'm glad. So if you have a comment about, please share what you think is the most profitable critical skill. We've had some good answers. There are many important skills for being a successful and happy slots enthusiast, but I've had email after email, consultation after consultation with slots enthusiasts just like you about the most critical skill: keeping your winnings. It's not a skill to which we are born. To paraphrase Dave Ramsey, who would be mortified, to be honest, Slots Channel, to paraphrase Dave Ramsey, none of us were born knowing how to take care of our finances. Keeping your winnings is critical. And there are plenty of other important skills. I don't mean to make light of those other skills, such as loss limits, keen observational skills, casino safety, overcoming casino manipulation, and others that you'll learn about in my course. But once you figure out your casino's winning methodology, once you learn to win, then your primary task becomes keeping your winnings. Keeping them to take home? Well, not unless that's your goal. You could just as well keep those winnings to play in a high limit slots room for the first time, but decided long ago that you would only ever do it with winnings and not your paycheck or savings. That sounds like a fun plan to me. And we've already covered the three answers that people in the live chat had. Well done. Or maybe you do want to take those winnings home. Maybe pay some monthly bills like a car payment, or fill your gas tank on the way home. That's topical, isn't it? That's a fine money plan. Dave Ramsey would be proud. Or maybe you want to spend it on a slot machine which cycles bankrolls to move up in player club tiers, or just earn a lot of reward points. Not a winning slot machine, but not a losing slot machine either. You win enough to cover your bets, sometimes for hours at a time. But some aren't interested in complimentary gifts. So that becomes boring. But for those who do want comps, earning 40,000 reward points in a day to jump from the third tier to the second tier is, delightful. It's what it's all about. But first, you must figure out how to not give it all back before leaving the casino. It's not about running to the high limit room right then, because that's not a plan unless you expected to win. High limit rooms deserve time and consideration. Winging it isn't a plan. Deciding how much of your winnings to spend, which machines to play, and when to play them, that's a plan. Same with cycling bankrolls. That type of winning machine needs to be found. Most never notice when they are on such a machine. For many, it's not a winning machine. It's a frustrating machine, unless your goals are comps. So again, it requires a plan. If you expected to win, maybe you know which machine to play that cycles bankrolls, but maybe you need to make a plan because it was instead a surprise win. Far too many slots enthusiasts immediately spend any winnings. And what about what about those that don't? How do they do that? I had a consultation lately with someone who knew how to walk away with their winnings. I was so proud of them. I asked them, "How did you learn this? Where did you learn to do this?" And they told me, "We once made a financial investment where we lost all of it." And that was enough. I understood. It's not that they lost an investment. It's that they learned from it. They learned a hard lesson, which isn't easy, but it helps if you tell yourself that you've paid for that lesson. You might as well learn it. Otherwise, you may have to pay it again and again. I felt their pain. I felt your pain. I won a $27,000 jackpot at 5:40 a.m. on a Saturday and left with a little over $16,511 after income taxes and chasing wins for 3 hours. before leaving that high limit room. I mean, I still feel the sting of it. Yes, I got two more hand pays for $1,200 and $1,250. So I was chasing wins and I got a little something, but 5% of the big jackpot. So, I'm not proud of that. But I should have left. Why didn't I? Because I did not have a plan. Before that biggest hand pays, before that, my biggest hand pays had been $4,000-$5,000 jackpots. I'd almost gotten used to that amount, but $27,000 was a complete shock. I could still remember asking the slot attendant to pinch me on the arm. So I knew I was in trouble, but I wasn't doing my best thinking under that shock. All in all, I wasted about $9,000. I still made a $30,000 profit in those 6 weeks, but it would have been nearly $40,000 if I hadn't messed it up. It was a lesson for me, an expensive lesson, and I learned to have a plan. Do you have a plan for when you win more than you have ever won before at slots? Think about it now, because winning it and then thinking about it isn't anywhere near ideal. 5 months later, I won my second largest hand pay of $14,000. I paid nearly $1,000 in income taxes, but still left the casino with $14,180 thanks to a backup spin. That jackpot happened 7 minutes after I arrived. It took about 20 minutes to pay the hand pay because a floor manager's signature was necessary for wins over $10,000. And I left the casino 30 minutes after I arrived. Then 3 months later, I won a car and left the casino with a $20,000 cashier's check and $20,000 in cash. Here's the $10,000 bands. I keep them as a trophy. I should probably, I have others, but unfortunately the cats kind of play with them. I think they're on the couch. I thought about it before, they offered the whole $40,000 in free play. Asked me several times, trying to convince me in my shock over having won a car, but I refused them. I thought about it before I won. See, I was ready. It was a $9,000 lesson 8 months earlier, and I took it to heart. I've never told this story before. Parts of it, yes, at different times, but not like this. This is how I learned the lesson of leaving with my winnings, because I didn't the first time it mattered. So I learned it. Will you? Is it possible to win and walk away without such a traumatic event? I don't know. That's what it took for me to learn that lesson, but I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I should, but I'm a softie. Maybe there's some other way, but if anything like this happens to you, make the most of it. Learn it the first time. If you can't bring yourself to walk away, burn it into your memory so you never do it again, and then forgive yourself, but don't forget. So here's a picture of the car that I won. Let's see, I got a bunch of stuff going on here. Let me share it with you there. So this is a picture of me. I should probably, what I should do is like zoom in on my face so you can sort of see the glazed look in my eye. And so this is not something I've shared publicly. I've edited various versions of it. I didn't want to show the Mercedes. This is a Mercedes-Benz E350 coupe, which I won, but instead took the $40,000 cash option. So this is me just stunned with my farmer's tan and everything else. So I also got these. Two of them are here in my hand. The other three I think are under the couch being chewed on by the cats. And so that's $50,000. Just, they call it a brick. I only accepted these when I won over $10,000, it had to be $10,000 after any taxes taken out. So that happened 5 times. And let's see. And I bought, where is it? There it is. And 3 weeks later, I took that $40,000. I spent 3/4 of it on a Jeep because I'm not a Mercedes-Benz kind of guy. I'm a Jeep Wrangler kind of guy. And so this is up in Michigan. My aunt took this picture. And I don't off-road, but it was a muddy road. And so that was my Jeep Wrangler. I had it for years. And that's wonderful for me. I also, after that $14,000, I went to Las Vegas on my first 7 stars trip. Here's the view of the pools from Caesar's Tower, one of the towers. Which one was it? I forget. And that's the view of the pool on my first 7 stars trip. I also learned a lot on that trip. But here's the boots and cowboy boots and cowboy hat that I got at Kimosabi in the Caesars Forum shop. That day, Mike Tyson was was being hosted by a sports store across the aisle. And this is me in the Jeep. All these stains are actually artistically applied by Kimosabi, the name of the store that I went to. Maybe you've been there. And so that's me. I've had this for about 5 years. This is me wearing it now. But I can't hear myself, so I'm going to go back to the headset. Somebody asked me, please, please, please wear my cowboy hat. It is a size 8. What the story is that when I went into Kimosabi, I saw all these beautiful hats, and they said, would you like to have a cowboy hat? And I said, you don't have any that fit me. Because I'd been looking at that point for 30 years to find a hat that fit me, and big brain, I guess, or extra thick bone, whatever, whichever works for you. I said, "Do you have a size 8 hat?" Not expecting them to say anything. There's hats all over the walls, and they said 1, and I was like, "Really?" Let me try it on. So it's made out of beaver. It's got artistic stains. They were kind enough to brand it for me with my initials. And the band was not cheap either. The whole thing, $700 for the hat, $200 for the band. I use it to this day every week mowing the lawn. I wear it because the sun beats down on me, and I've got a big hat, and that's what I use it for. Yeah. So there's also this for you, which is that $14,000 win. I'm trying to make a point here about this topic. Do you see how it's blurry? My hands were not steady. I talked about how that $27,000 win months before. I learned my lesson. I didn't spend this. I left with more than this jackpot. It was a 30-minute trip. I won this 7 minutes into it, 15, 20 minutes being serviced the hand bay by a floor manager. And then I had a backup spin and I won some more. So I left with more than this. But it wasn't easy. And that's what I'm trying to point out with the blurriness. This is my best photo. The others are worse. I just want to say that, this is hard stuff. This is also me in front of Davison Glacier in Alaska on my 7-day cruise to Alaska, which I kind of feel the heat right now, and I wouldn't mind being on. And I have other photos of Mendenhall Glacier. This had to be canoed to. We were about to get into Outback canoes and go up to the base of this huge glacier. But this is me sort of like getting ready for that. Yeah, just wanted to share some of this stuff. It's me in the car, and when I went to Las Vegas on my 7 stars trip. So some of you may have been there recently. This is my, can you see this right over here, kind of like hotel room? Well, there's one right over, not the top one, one below that. It's actually on the other side of this building, a Caesar's Tower. That's where my room was. And one year, the first year, and the second year I won my 7 stars trip, I decided that that was too close. And so I went down to Las Vegas Boulevard, and it's hard to see this, but it's just shoulder to shoulder, a lot of people. And since we're reviewing some things here, I wanted to share, this is my second video. Hello, everybody. This is John Friedel, Professor Slots. I am doing my second video journal on my last casino trip, which ended about 2 hours ago. Okay, so this is a Facebook Live photo. It's the second one that I did. The first one, it was very messed up. I don't have it. And these are my books. The tall counter is mostly physics. The 2 short ones are a few things that hobbies, courses that I took, but the rest of them are engineering. And this is just the beginning. It continues down that wall around the corner. This is how I got started. I can't help but notice that I'm not nearly as gray 5 years ago. This was 2 days from now, 5 years ago, 2017. And time changes. This was about a year and a half before I started my YouTube channel. And so, but let's see. So we have questions. But before that, improve your slots performance with my, there you are. Yes. Improve your slots performance with my in 30 days or less with my 30 days to play slots smarter and win. You also get 3 free valuable bonuses plus 1 month free membership to my Slots Enthusiast Growth Network, where you get community support and accountability. And visit professorslots.com/30 days to learn more about those free bonuses, course content, and testimonials from participants. But soon it will no longer be 40% off for an $80 savings. The price will be going up at midnight Eastern a week from Sunday, as you can see on this countdown clock. If you purchase the course, you're good to go because you have lifetime access. But if you don't have the course, now is the time to get it. Time is running out. So let's get to the questions. How this works is ask your question, use hashtag question so I can spot it among all the chatter back and forth. And then I will work through them one at a time, and we'll go as long as necessary, but I have a 2-hour limit because that's as long as my voice will last. So we've got about an hour and 25 minutes before I have to cut it off. And we'll see how long the questions last. So let's check with the questions. Lots of people saying hi. Okay, John. So you asked a question a few minutes ago. I'm in Texas and we only have bingo slots. Are there any techniques for that kind of slots? Most of my approaches are for class 3 slots, which Texas doesn't have, for games of chance, as they call them, not the skill-based games. However, one does work. And that's because it seems like it's just such a simple thing. It's called the 5-spin method. It seems like it's a simple thing. You don't get tastes with the bingo slots. What you are doing is it's got a strong element of loss limits and preserving gains. And that all by themselves will help you walk away with money on bingo slots. And that's the technique that I have now. Now, there is also a whole thing about how to win at slots. I have all these ideas set aside and, what works and all this, but I haven't quite put it together. I have a certain level of checking and verification and confirmation that I like to do, and it's not there yet. I'll tell you what it is, which is people who play bingo machines are actually playing a single game. There's a group of bingo machines, and they're all playing the same game. Not everything in the casino, just a certain number of them in a group. You can tell because the bingo card, have you seen the bingo card? The bingo card has the same pattern on it, and that's how you can get an idea how big the group is. And so what you need to do is my dog's playing with his bone. What you need to do, bad time for an interruption, Isaac. What you need to do is to play the bingo game that's played by that group when it's getting close to being finished, when it's almost over, because that's when the winning is more likely. If you play early in that bingo game, then you have to kind of wait. And while you're waiting, you're spending money. So the idea is to find these bingo games, the cards, when they're almost done. And there's a little bit more where it's like when they're almost done, but they have certain patterns on them, diamonds and other things. Again, this is all I have for you now. And I will share more once I get some travel funds and go to Oklahoma and just check a few of these things out. I've got people who want to show me in front of it, and I don't want to give out rumors. So I'd like to have backed up information. And so Fun says, wearing your running shoes so you can hit it and quit it, win and come back later. And absolutely. Knowing when to change machines. Certainly. Leave with money. Absolutely. Flip says, being prior military, I learned to follow checklists very well. Yes. Command and control, right? And living within a structure. Not everybody has that, but that's the way to build discipline. Yeah. Do you feel using a checklist would be a beneficial tool, and do you think any disadvantages of using one? No, I can't think of any disadvantage. That's an excellent question. The disadvantage is people won't use them. I mean, if you've used checklists, then you would. But if you haven't used checklists, then you're not really going to learn to use them. And that's the disadvantage. I check with people who have consultation, and I say, are you ex-military? And the first thing I say is, thank you for your service. And the second thing I say, here's a checklist, because that works for them. And they may hate it, they may love it, but they know it. And they know how to use one. So that's the major disadvantage, people leaving it home or something. So that's a beneficial tool if they'll use it. Let's see, Decal says, when that large pay comes, I already have lots of goodies I want for my house. Hey, man, whatever works. You win that and you say, that's a car payment. You might say that's a monthly car payment, or like me, it might be a car I'm going to pay for. And Jan says she has a plan now after losing my winnings on my last visit. We talked a bit about that in the past, Jan. And so let's see. I want to check to see if we still have someone here. Nicole. I like and have won several times using your methods, including a jackpot, but has anyone else seen that expose? Oh, yeah. So this is interesting. I'm trying to find, I never had competitors, and then a student of mine became a competitor. So for 5 years, it was not something I was used to. And so I'm learning how to do it. I will say that I was a little bit miffed that it was somebody went after me, but they also went after somebody else in the same video. I mean, I'm a little miffed that I didn't get my own video. The other thing is my, sales and my views on YouTube have shot up. And the third point I want to make is it's not me. It is not my brand, to be a little business-like here, to argue with people. If they want to do that, I know the legal lines that must be crossed in order for it to be defamation of character. And, I don't care what they do. All they've done is help me. Yeah. Jan says, it would have been hard to, no, Jan, I was all alone, all right, in Cincinnati, and I lived nearby. I'd driven there. How was I supposed to get a car home? I already had a car. And so, yeah, I'm trying to be funny, but it was true. I was just like, how do you get 2 cars home? I mean, I can't call my sister. She's 300 miles away. And so I decided not to. And again, Mercedes-Benz E350, I enjoy a Jeep Wrangler far more. And so I went that route because I thought about it. I actually saw the car, and this sounds weird. I'm sorry. In anticipation of winning it, I went ahead and looked it up on Kelley Blue Book and found out how much it was worth if it had 1 mile and it was off the dealership, which depreciates it hugely. So it was worth $38,000. Don't drink my water, cat. But the cash offer of $40,000, it was just more money. Some Dirk, not his real name, it was name that he used went under. He was like, well, I could sell that back to the dealership and I could get you the full price. All you have to do is just give me your keys and I'll need the registration. I was just like, I don't think so. Dirk. So yeah, have a plan in advance. There's amazing things that would happen. I remember the next day I was some event at the next casino over. Instead of Belpaterra Park, it was downtown Cincinnati, and I went to an event, the 7 stars only, and I went in line, and somebody kind of like, they were kind of looking at me, and I'm like, what's going on? And somebody in line was just like, are you John Friedel? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, that was my car. And I was like, well, I took the cash. The car is still there. You can win it next time. And unfortunately, I've never been very good at handling stuff. Yeah. Thank you for the sympathy about the defamation video. It's what that person does. It's actually a technique that was very popular 10 years ago, but nowadays people look at it and they get sad, and they don't want that in their life unless they do want that in life. So, whatever works for him. I've had conversations with people like that who are doing all of this, but then they send me a private message saying, I'm really sorry. I like your stuff. I'm just like, and so I don't take that path. That is not what my brand is about. It's about finding the facts, sharing them, doing the calculus, sharing that. And there's some people who just can't see the logic, the proof, the state report returns, and what the graph means. Yeah, I'll get better at sharing, complicated things more simply. It is understanding. It's a matter of understanding my audience and speaking to everybody and sharing that. So it's Isaac is like, is that a bird? I think that's a bird. Yeah. it's the hat is like, surround sound speakers would cost less than the hat. um, yeah, one of the things I want to do, I've tried to explain this in the past, is uh, my approach, all my approaches are about going to the casino and walking around. And people don't do that. Casinos don't, you got to have a signed waiver from every face that you show. You have to not show the surveillance cameras. The music coming from the ceiling is copyright protected and only takes about a second and a half. Look it up. A second and a half of copyrighted music for YouTube to flag it. And you only get 3 strikes and then you're out, lifetime. So I don't see what I would be able to show. Now, there is a local casino, it's about an hour away, that has given a contract. They just don't allow it unless you have a contract. That's how some states are. And so this casino, about an hour away, has allowed somebody else to show their play. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to be at the end of the line, showing slots play, 5-spin method, get up, move, get up, move, get up, move. I have a couple of those. They're on my shorts shelf at the beginning. And what more do you need? So I was thinking about, people want it, and people want what they want. So I was thinking, what could I show that would be helpful? I mean, it hurts, but I could show what a losing machine looks like, and I could actually get up and leave, and people might be like helped. I mean, the best thing I ever did for my family was go to college, because then they saw it was possible. Stuff like that. And right now it's just, I should have that eventually, but I also should do trips to the casino with my top fans for free, or maybe have a seminar or something like that. But that's all like next year. But it's would be necessary. It must be something that I do eventually. It's been a crazy last year. It's only been a year since year and a half since I took off on my slots channel, because I decided to, because I got laid off and I fixed it, and then I, hit it hard. And so I've gotten 41,200 or so subscribers since November. Let's see, I got 1,000 subscribers at the end of September in 2020. I'd started live streaming a year before that, and that I had 100 subscribers, and a year before that, so it took me a year to go from 100 to 1,000, and then it's taken me a year and a half to go from 1,000 to 41,000, and sky's the limit at this point. So yeah, I'll do that. Richard says won $10,000 on a known time in a high limit room, when the casino would call, email, and beg for their returns to play it back. Leave, keep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Nicole. Any method is not guaranteed. I have gone to the casino, figured it out so well that I was playing an ATM machine. It was just like, well, I'm going to go to the casino and I'm going to leave with money, and I don't know how much. Yawn. A little bit of a challenge, please. So I realized that when I figured it out too much, it is kind of like I lose interest. And maybe you see that. When I looked it up, it said it was it? I have a memory of looking up it on Kelley Blue Book and calling itself a coupe. Maybe this will help. I have another image. Let's see. Do I have that image? I think I have that image. I do have that image. There's a I'll try to look it up and share it. I took a picture from the back, and the back shows kind of what the end of that is. So where's winning the car? And yeah, who knows their cars? I know Jeeps. Is that a coupe or is that a sedan? I hope that helps. Yeah. All right. Thank you. I will check to see my memory of coupe or sedan. Let's see. FF Chief. Number, I guess, question is left out. After you identify a machine, should you bet max if it offers multiple bet sizes, 60 cents to $3.75? I prefer minimum bets. What I've been finding out is that I will increase my, okay. I also wanted to mention, I started high limits. That's what I did. And then I moved to low limits. So I'm not Brian Christopher. I didn't start for years of having no bet over $5. I started with every bet being at least $20 on $5 denomination machines, sometimes 10. Didn't like to play the $100 denomination machines, too rich for my blood. Then I moved to what most of you play with a $300 bankroll, couple of hours at the casino, and that's what I've been doing for a while now. I miss high limits. That's what I do personally, but the job is the job, and that's why I do what I do now, to go, and every time it's $300, every time it's 2 to 3 hours, and then I compare trips and methods. So I like to play minimum bets to get a feel for it. For instance, I've on the edge of the casino floor at what is it? Hollywood Lawrenceburg. There is a machine that was facing the cafe, and there was actually a couple of them, and I tried each one, and I found the one that was paying out. So I played that for an hour, and my bankroll of $100, I think it was. I have a report on this, and some of the details are there. It climbed and climbed and climbed for that hour. I would win $20 and $20 and $20 and $20, and I was betting minimum bets of 90 cents. And so after an hour, I was like, so it's a winning machine. What would happen if I made medium bets for half an hour and maximum bets for half an hour? Because I'm not there to make money. I'm there to explain stuff to you, to show you stuff. I'm there to learn, because that's my goal. And so I switched to medium bets for half an hour, and basically it stayed the same. I won, but I lost. I won, but I lost, and my bankroll halted. It was just stopped. It just stayed at roughly the same value. And then I thought, after a half an hour, I'm like, well, I'm winning, but I'm also kind of like just making enough for my bets. Let's switch to maximum bet, $4.50. 5 times the amount of minimum bets of 90 cents. And I made, for half an hour, I made $4.50 bets, maximum bets. And my bankroll shrank. I made 5 times the bet, but of minimum bets. The minimum bets were getting me $20 wins. And because it was 5 times as much of a bet at $4.50, you might think that you would win $100, $20 times 5, but I didn't. I won less than 2 times as much as I did at minimum bet. I won like $35, $35 hit, $35 hit, $35 hit, within that range. And so I would lose money because I was spending so much at maximum bet. And so I think what you should try is minimum bets and see how that works for you. If you can afford maximum bet, we're all gamblers, go for it. But have a plan. That's what I would suggest. Put that image away. Do you give slot advice when you have no slot content on your channel? I think there's a couple of good books out there about how to have a YouTube channel. You can just read what's done. There's a lot of people out there that are using concepts like from 10 years ago. If you ask people to subscribe, that was removed. It's what's called a vanity metric. Asking actually hurts. To do this, subscribe is, it brings down your channel growth. But if you do this, like my video, it grows your channel. And so what matters? And other things that have slowly changed. So learn what YouTube is, not what it was 10 years ago. And there's a lot of, people who are just like out of date. And what works now, get yourself within the last couple of years of what works. And so that when you do show content, for instance, you could start a podcast and all you need is a phone, maybe an external mic that you might clip on, and you can talk. And then you can get a $5, is it $5 or $12 per month, a host account with Libsyn, for instance, or Blueberry or any of the others. And then you can put it up there and it shows up in the Apple, and it shows up in Google. And so then it goes out to all the different apps and you can talk. That's how I cut my teeth on this. Getting in front of the camera was, well, I showed you part of the video. It can be a bit of a shock. Yeah. Michael asks, how are they symbols on slots assigned to the number generators? I have an article on that. That is, the symbols aren't. The dollar amount isn't. There's a position number. How do I put this? I talk about this in an article. So on a probability curve of probability of a win on the vertical axis, and on the horizontal axis would be from smallest to largest of what you would win. The smallest is 0. The largest is the top jackpot. And in between those two would not be every dollar value. It would be every possible outcome. And if there's more than one way to get the same amount, that's only counted once. There's many ways to get 0 on a slot machine. And all those different ways are assigned the first one. And that probability is, there's about 15 symbols or positions, I should say, on a physical real machine. And so the different combinations would be 15 times 15 times 15 if it's a 3-wheel machine. So 15 times 15, I don't mean to talk over people's head with math, at least it's not calculus. 15 times 15 times 15 is 3,375 possible outcomes. And on the pay table, on a physical real slot machine, you might see, 200, right? 200 possible money-making outcomes. And so so 200 out of 3,375. So 200 out of 3,375 is 6%. That means anything other than a 0 has a 6% chance of winning. The state of Nevada has 93%, not 6%. So one of the things that the random number generator has to do with the way that it works, and it's far more complicated than you seem to be thinking. There's a random distribution that's used, which lowers the odds on 0. So it doesn't happen as much, which brings up the numbers further up the pay scale. Otherwise, people would win 6% of the time. and slot machines would never have become popular. This is a 120-year-old technology. This has been going on for 120 years. Different technologies over the years, but this is what's going on. Slot machines would not be popular, would not be popular if random number generators from your Excel spreadsheet were used that way. If you take a statistics course, they'll explain it all. Yeah. Jason, do you feel there is any benefit to tracking the asset ID, serial number, and location of machine? There's a couple of kind of like fringe things, which is if it was winning because it was at a good location, then it's the location, not the machine at the location. That machine could come and go, and the location is the reason why whatever's there is winning. But there, in some states, there's a requirement that the returns have to be a certain higher up, has to be a certain number, a legal lower limit, and a legal upper limit. In 29 states that have a lower limit, and then there's like 13 states that have a maximum theoretical payout where they have to stay below it, usually around 100%, which really is limiting for casinos. But if you look at the wording, it says not per wager, but it says over the lifetime of the machine. So if you were to go play a machine in a state that had that requirement after it had been moved from a winning position, this is getting into, sorting all this down, it would probably be losing for years to have its lifetime value be within legal limits. I don't know of an advantage. I know of a disadvantage. FF Chef, if you identify a machine with strategy, but it offers 5 different bet sizes, should you max bet if it is in your budget? So the bet sizes have to do with credit. Then, bet whatever your budget is. There are some reasons where the max bet has game rules on the machine that say, well, this won't happen and this won't happen unless you max bet. And that's a way to get the best odds on the machine, where if you don't make the max bet, you don't have those options, and therefore ultimately your odds are lower because you chose to do that. So check the game rules. I have found, however, as I was just saying, that the minimum bets, my bankroll grew. I mean, it takes all day because I'm winning $20, $20, and I'm only spending $10, $10. So it takes me an hour to make $200 from my $100 goes to $300. But maybe that's what you want. When you're really chewing on that bone, aren't you? I gave him that bone like 6 days ago, and now he chews on it. But if you change denominations, if you change your bet size because you've changed your denomination rather than the credits, then there's a whole thing there where each denomination has its own odds. And one of the things you can do is switch between those to get the average. One of them is going to be low. One of them is going to be the best. You can switch between the different denominations to bring up your average, because otherwise you have to, you can't necessarily guess which one's the best unless you have state return statistics. And even then, that's the average for the state or the average for the casino. And you're like, I don't know. So you can prove your return by switching denominations the whole time and changing your credits so that each different denomination would actually be the same bet size. You follow? So you can do that. That is a technique where you can make the most of the average return. This is talked about on other Slats channels, but what I would suggest is be careful about removing the penny denomination, because the penny denomination US wide for years has the lowest odds. And it's just one of those things. Not all penny machines, but on average. And that can really matter. So when you switch denominations, leave out the lower odds of penny slots, and your average return will be higher. And if you're winning a lot on one of the denominations and not the others, that's how you find out that you should be sticking with that one denomination. But again, I talk to people about this, that, and the other thing, and I try to introduce people to slots if they're here to find out about it. And then sometimes I throw you in the deep end. So if you have to back up and listen to my statement again, feel free. I don't. So Matthew has a question without hashtag question. When given the option to select the amount of bonus games, what is your interpretation? If you're not talking about class 2 and you're not talking about class 2, all that was determined back when you made the bet. The outcome of the game was determined when you hit the bet button. All this other stuff is just for show. If you pick 15 games, whatever it decided you're going to win will be spread over 15 games. If you pick 12 games, then whatever it decided that you're going to win is just going to be presented that way, and it's going to be the same amount that was decided. And so it's just for show, because the bet is determined, the outcome of the bet is determined when you make the bet. Not for video poker, because that's a skill-based game, they call them, where your choices matter. And not for bingo games, because your choices matter there too, in most states. There's some odd Arkansas bingo machines, which has 2 games on the bingo machine, or 2 games on the machine. One of them is a bingo machine, and that's a legal requirement because they can't have anything else. But because it has that, it goes unused, and the class 3 slot machine portion of that game is what people play. It's a legal thing, and that's why they can offer everything. Fun says, I give credit to Professor Slott's methods in my videos in honor and thanks for my learning, even when I make a mistake and always ignore my stop limits. Thank you. Fun, I appreciate it. Yeah, I what did I have? I had like a VW Beetle that was it was like, when I turned it in, it was worth $500. So I was like, I think I need a new car, but I don't want a Mercedes. Yes, Isaac has joined the chat. Yes, and now he's back in the back there. You can't quite see him over there. Okay, he's right behind me. Oh yeah, absolutely. Pit and Black. We can all learn something from the different channels. Yeah. Are there any specific videos you've created that clearly receive the greatest amount of praise for doing? I presented on slots topics, strategies, which I won the most number of hand pays. Seems like an important thing. And apparently I didn't articulate it well, or I didn't wear a cowboy hat, or wrong color shirt or something. The YouTube algorithm didn't pick up on it. The words I used for the title, the thumbnail connection, brand colors, I don't know. And so it hasn't taken off. And it's the one I won the most on, my come back a week later method. But my 5 pull method, I think it's the way I called it. The 5 actually was started as a 5 pull method. Then I switched it to a 5 spin method, and it just took off because people read 5 spin and they knew what I was going to say. And yet when I said come back a week later, they didn't understand what I was going to say. So YouTube just like took off. with that. So, and that's the most number of comments. It's gotten what, 1.3 million views. I have a couple of videos because the first one had questions, and so I answered them in the second video, and the second video turned out to be even more popular than the first video. And then I threw in some extras and bonuses and how to use it if you want to do this, and how to use it if you want to do that, because it was just so popular, and that's what happened there. Yeah. I see people walk up and down and flip through Denomination screens. Sometimes they sit and play and win quickly. Sometimes they walk away. What are they looking at? So when you say flip through Denomination screens, you're saying they choose a different denomination. Every denomination has its own player return. And so some of them are low and some of them are higher, but we don't know which one. And so you could play a denomination which has the worst odds on the machine, or you might get lucky and play the denomination as the best returns. But you don't know. So what do? You play each denomination. And you remember, I'm getting hits on the $5, but I'm not getting hits on the $2. And so that's a way to assess the slot machine, to assess how the denomination's odds of winning are set. Or don't bother and just flip through them, and your average return would be better than your worst guess. And that works. No. Speed Racer, I'm a fan. The TV show. I think videoing slot play is defocusing. When I play, I tune out everything around me. I see people doing it, but I don't see them winning. That is not the point. That is not the point of recording your play. The people who are doing that are not educators. Or there might be one. I like Neely 777 because sometimes he talks about stuff. I don't watch all of them. I find it defocusing myself. It's like, playing social slots. The casinos, the slot machine manufacturers offer free games on Facebook and games in the casino for real money, or games online for real money. Real money versus not real money. Even though sometimes on the social games you pay to play more, you don't win. And so those are the kind of the two categories. I won't mention the other one. That's kind of like confusing. It's a blend, but sweepstake games. But those two are very different. Slot manufacturers 10 years ago, reading 10 years ago about all of this, and they think, well, I can put it on Facebook and by golly, everybody loves it. And then they put it in the casino and nobody likes it. It's kind of like my 2 videos about winning. I said something funny in the first one, maybe, and people were like, ha ha ha, that, but that's good. And they told their friends about it. And the other one, not so much. So whatever reason, there's no player appeal in the casino game, but there's player appeal on Facebook. And the book, the explanation that I got from this was slot games for fun are fun. Slot games on Facebook and free games at your local restaurant is for fun. Slot machines in casinos for real money gambling is serious fun. And those are 2 very different things. And games that are fun don't appeal to players that have serious fun, and the reverse. So, videoing, if you train yourself on Facebook slots and then go to the casino, you're really hurting yourself because it's not that game. You might say it's the same game, but it's like, no, there's no money at risk. It's not the same situation. I find it very different. Hey, Bella. Sanan, thank you. Is it? I'm looking at the image again, if I can. Not that one. It would be this one. It is it's a 4-door. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Wow. Hmm. Okay. Good to know. I'm from Michigan, and we're all automotive manufacturing, and my family's going to be like, "You don't know the difference between a sedan and a coupe." um, uh, it's lots of fun. Says the multiplier is the amount bet, but not the winnings multiplied. Reading the pay table is still important. Um, the multiplier is the amount bet. I don't know quite what you mean. When you make a bet, you've already chosen a denomination, and you've chosen how many credits. So that determines the amount of the bet. And when you get bonus games, you choose whether or not you're going to have a few of them or a lot of them. So people are concerned about, does that choice matter? I think you're talking about. But I'm saying it's all been decided. And whether you have 15 games or 20 games, how much you were going to win with that denomination and that number of credits is only the machine knows, but it's coming for you. And so you have to wait. Now, in video poker, there is another hand where you give up some cards and you get cards if you want to, and that's a recalculation, and that's the second time the game is played based on your decisions. Now, it is possible. I don't know the order of events. It would be easier for the whole game if they determined what the odds would be for the first hand when you made the bet, and then every possible choice that you could make, do each one, and then just wait for which one you chose. So again, it's still at the decision was made at the bet, but it was a lot of different decisions. And later, when you choose, it'll pick that one. But still at the beginning, because that's just easier to do programming wise. Austin says it is true that freshly built casinos give more wins when they first open. You can see that. If you go to, do I have the article ready for you? Maybe, let's see, if I go to my website and show Delaware, I'm going to just try to bring it up quickly so you can see it. I go through every state. It's taken me a while to get through all of them. I'll share what I'm looking at here. We can talk about it, but you are asking about truth, and I'm going to show you state data. And if you want my opinion, I'll be happy to share it. But the one I wanted to show you was Delaware. I think I have that data here. I've done a bunch of them. Newport, Hollywood, Miami. This is the casinos that I go do reviews on now with $300 in a couple of hours. And where is my? I'm going to have to look up the folder for that and find it there. Delaware. I wanted to share Delaware, and in May I did that. I don't see that up there, so let me share this for you. Yeah, okay. So here is Delaware. You see how, can I do this here? Boom, boom, boom. Come on. So this is all of the state returns for the 3 casinos in Delaware. There is a couple of months difference between this first one. it was, I think, October 1995, and then September, October, November. And then in November, Delaware Park opened, but in September, Bally's Dover opened. It wasn't a Bally's to start, but that's what it's called now. And then about 6 months later, Harrington opened. And so this is the business plan. They wanted to make a lot of money when they first opened, and they stayed this way for 10 years. Went up and then kind of flat, and then went up and then got slowly increased. And that's what Bally's Dover did. But 6 months after these first two casinos opened, Harrington entered the market. And so they said, we're going to let people win immediately and be trained how to win, to be trained we win at slots. And then they dropped it after about 6 months, and they stayed so low for 6 years? And they made a lot of money because that first few months were just great. And people were like, well, I'm just lucky, just not in the last 5 years, but I once was. And so this is the whole approach. You can check the 20 states have monthly return statistics, and you can go back years and you can look how did they open. And if you have a local casino that opened, then you have to kind of look at the dynamic. There is a report. If you go to at the bottom of any of my web pages, almost any of my web pages, click on this channel, ABC channel 27. It's an investigative report in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They interviewed me for like 4 hours and then showed like 10 seconds of me. But they learned a lot from me and they presented it. And I think they did a great job. And they talk about Penn National near them, and how the odds have been terrible since the first month it opened. It's all right there in state data. No opinion necessary. It's so the question that I've asked is it the first month or is it the first year? It partly has to determine it. If you're opening a new casino on the Las Vegas Strip, then everybody around is kind of like, they know about slots. But if your casino is a former cornfield and nobody within 50 miles in any direction has had a casino to go to before, then this works. This works as a valid casino and the casino will tell their investors, before they even built the casino, it's going to be a couple of years before you get your money, but then it's going to be a lot of money. And this technique works for online slots as well. When online slots enters a new gaming jurisdiction, they want to get everybody hooked, and then they shut it down. Will it be a month or will it be a year? But it's a winning opportunity. I like to share it's a winning opportunity, but I say even louder and more to the point, you've got to remember to stop. This happened in downtown Cincinnati. That's part of the reason why I was winning. You could follow casinos where they open everywhere. And do this technique if you want to live a life on the road for the first month of the first year and just win at those casinos. But in Cincinnati, they had a great first year. And then the second year wasn't too shabby. I won 54 hand pays in the last 6 months of the year they opened. And then I won about 40 hand pays in the 8 months of the next year. And so it was 90 hand pays in 9 months. And then I won a car. And it was harder to win. The second year was the downtown Cincinnati casino was open, but it was still possible. And in the third year, at that point I was writing my book and doing some other stuff. And I went back and saw Martin. He has a business and he was playing, and I'd seen him win, $100,000 hand pays. You like the $100 machines, and he could afford to play them. But I asked him, where are all my buddies? Where's Bubba, Dustin? Where are the other people that we used to play with? And he said, oh, they all went into bankruptcy. And my logic here is that they thought that they were lucky because they were shown to be lucky, and they thought it was them, not that the casino was trying to set up people to think that they would win. and I drove them all into bankruptcy when it was time to pay back the investors. And shows in the state data. Yeah. And like that Delaware, it could be years before it ever gets that high again. Is there a simple way to search through your video library using keywords? Just about every video on my library is also on my web page, professorslots.com. It's searchable, and this is home base for me. Now, the shorts, I'm trying to create shorts which are only on YouTube. Rather, they're on TikTok too, which might be searchable there. And so there is if you go to the playlist for shorts on YouTube, there's a search option, and you can try typing in keywords. Right now, I've got 70, 80 shorts put in. I've been doing them the last month or so, and with more coming, I think I've got enough for next 30 days already uploaded, coming out once per day. And so that's not a lot. 100, 120 is not a lot, but in a year it'll be 500, and all that will be a little more searchable. And it's your guys' questions that I'm putting in there. I'm hoping that the YouTube algorithm, YouTube service will have a little better search engine, but that's the intention, to make it all searchable. Questions. I'm looking for hashtag questions. And I thank you, Paula, for pointing out Austin had a question. Should I play max bets on higher denomination within budget? Everybody seems to want to go to higher denomination. And why? Is it a plan? Do you have a plan? Or are you doing it because everybody's doing it? Because everybody jumps off a bridge, and do you do it? It's important to understand what's going on and the why of it. I played high limit slots because I could afford it, and I enjoyed hand pays, and it was a learning experience, and it was a lot of fun, and I personally got a lot of satisfaction from it. But there's a lot of stress to playing high limit, and $3,000 can be gone in 15 minutes. Yeah. So if you can afford it, I don't think the best way. What I like to do is play minimum bets to get a sense of whether or not I'm going to win, and I'm starting to come to the conclusion that my best chance of winning is actually with minimum bets. But if it's such a good winning machine, then maybe I would also win at maximum bets. So I might try. But if you're not winning at minimum bets, that's not a winning machine. And that's how you learn, with minimum cost. But then we're all gamblers, and we're all like, I've been doing really well with the minimum bets. Let's see if I'll do well at maximum bets. And that's a plan. But it's all very much into being patient. Yes. Please like the video. Question from Michael. So who assigns what payout goes where on the curve, or is it just the manufacturer that decides? Each theoretical payout, I'm talking calculus here. There's probability versus outcome, and the area under the curve is the theoretical payout. If, and I kind of glossed over a couple of details there, different curves will have the same theoretical payout. There's many different random distributions for each theoretical payout. And that's how it works. These are all provided by the slot machine manufacturers because the casino can't do it. It's all part of what's available from the slot machine manufacturers. Yeah. The limits on the theoretical payouts, if there are limits, would be some states don't have a limit. And so the slot machine manufacturer doesn't have to put in the limits. But the casino who ordered them might say between this number and this number. And so the state theoretical limits, minimum and theoretical, if they have one or both of those, aren't used. They're too low. The minimum theoretical payout, 75%, 85%. If you look at the return statistics, all the return statistics are well above that. And so it's too low for a casino to stay in business to have them that low, because slots players would be like, what the heck is this? And, torches and pitchforks, would take place. 10% payout difference is like shocking. I mean, it's like, somebody shoot me. 2.5% improvement in the odds of winning is worthy of a backflip. I hope that helps calibrate you. If you go and play like a winning machine and you're having a wonderful time, it's because it was 2.5% that improved over the worst machine you ever played. And that's what 2.5% is. This whole 10% would be like, 92.7 average return in Nevada, and they have a state limit of 85%. They're never going to get close to that. Yeah. Just calibration, understanding what the numbers means. So this is Curie right there. She is associate producer. Isaac is a very eager intern. And then I had two other cats last year, and they were co-hosts. They passed away, one from old age and the other from a disease. I got two new rescue cats, young, and they are saboteurs, because during one of my Thursday night Zoom group meetings with my paid community, they took out the server. They took out the internet, and I came back and everybody was still, talking and stuff. And I was like, sorry. And now, as Chuck would call them, saboteurs, one of my fans that's been around for a long time. Hi, Linda. Hi. Oh, San Diego. I was there once. It was just lovely. I was there once, and it was Comic-Con. I didn't know it was Comic-Con. I was there for a conference, and I was like, do I have to go to the conference? And I kind of like looked into the Science Center with all the Klingon signs. Anyway, I'm a science fiction fantasy fan, so I was just like, oh, my people are here. Let's see. Question. Richard says, will Virginia publish their new casino statistics? I wasn't able to find anything. Fun asked that as well. I have a couple of notes on that. I haven't updated my sheet yet for it. They have Virginia has a theoretical payout. They actually have a lower limit and an upper limit. The lower limit is 84%. The upper limit is 100%. I haven't looked at the state law to read if it's a per wager or a over the lifetime of the machine. Not that it makes much difference when all the machines are like a week old, but it will eventually. And so I don't know if they're going to have a. I just need to read the gaming regs and see if they talk about having them. I see their average theoretical payout, but I haven't seen anything about returns. I need to research a little better on that. But good question. Should all become obvious pretty fast. 20 U.S. states, that's 40% of them, have monthly return statistics of one form or another, sometimes state, region, sometimes by casino, sometimes by city. And so the odds are not good that they would. It's 40% chance, right? Let's see. Lots of good questions here. Jim says, will all slot machines eventually pay out? How much do I need to put in? That is not all of them, no. If they were fair, then you would be paid out, but it would be less than you spent because the return would be 85%. If you are, this is something I should have, I can easily show you an example of this with Illinois. It's the least complicated returns, and I'll share this so you can see what the state data is. This is my Illinois article. I go over the data from 2012 to 2020 because this is not for the riverboats. This is for the gaming machines and the bars and taverns. The bars and taverns are not any control over the state lottery, which controls this. From 2012, they had a low return. It shot up the first month in September, and then pretty much dropped a little, went up a little, dropped a little. And if you look at this map, this one for the last 2-3 years, they are at the lowest point they've ever been. And so I think that Illinois slots are about as fair as any others in the world, but they will take. They only give back 91.55, and so it's fair, but it is not a winning proposition. I like casinos that are not fair because I figure out how they're trying to manipulate. I mean, it's not illegal. It's just not fair. And I like that because I can use it against them. And you figure out which way are they being manipulative, and then you take advantage of them. And that's my strategies are not strategies. They're counter strategies for whatever it is that the casino is trying to do to you. And so find my counter strategy to that one or two methods that they would be using. They don't need to use all 10 different ways to manipulate you. You need to find the one that matches. So you learn your casino, take advantage of them. Unless the state has a legal requirement that every slot machine eventually pay out, even if it does, it'll be less than was put into it, and it might not be you. That you could just lose and be there at the wrong time, or you could just win. And even though the machine would have a 90% return, that doesn't mean that you did or the other person did. So you want to be the person which had over 100% and not the person that had under 100%. And that's what I talk about. I got a couple of wristbands, Professor Slots, Slots Enthusiasts. I think I'll get one more color. These are my website colors. Let's see here. Right, my three website colors is red, green, and there's a blue. There's a blue also that I will use sometimes. And so that's these three colors. And so I'm thinking about getting the green ones as well. Flip says, question, in your opinion, is a $300 bankroll reasonable to gamble with? My wife is calling me cheap. Dude, I'm not getting between you and your wife. Honestly, I have uh, um, a golden rule of slots, which is you decide. Only take money to the casino which you can comfortably afford to spend. It's entirely on you. I'm not going to tell you you have to have this amount or you must have, $3,000. No, 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 no. This is your decision. Um, you know, I had a, yeah, it's your decision. I'm not getting in that. Um, Now, I will tell you when casinos have raised the cost of betting and how $100 doesn't go very far. People used to take a roll of quarters 20 years ago, and you know, not too long ago, it used to be like $100 that you could take, but now it's kind of getting up to $300. It's just the rising cost of inflation or whatever you want to call it. Jim says, does the casino have to have enough cash on property to pay out all wins in the day? A lot of people accept free play. You can actually, in some places, some casinos, you can ask for free play. They asked if I wanted, when I won the car, they asked, they not asked, they kind of like, are you sure you don't want $40,000 in free play? And I knew that casino well enough to know that free play was not a good choice. For one thing, it expires in like a month in the best of circumstances, and $40,000 in free play, it was not how to win there. And so I was like, no. And they were like, but we could really, give you the free. No, I said no, you know, and so yeah, and check is a great idea. Getting a check is a great idea. So it's not like a run on the bank. They have a vault. They have a lot of cash. And I will say that when I won the car, I said, I would like to have 40. How would you like that? I said, I'd like to have $40,000 in cash because I collect these. And they said, no. They said, we're willing to give you $20,000 in cash, but the rest will have to be in check. And so I got a cashier's check for $20,000, and I got 2 bricks of $10,000 each with wrapped in bands, and that's what I got. Yeah, so they did limit how much I could take on a big win. Yeah, so they might say that. Questions. Penta Black, what do you think about the volatility of old school real slots versus newer video game slots? I think it's partly just player appeal. Volatility is a interesting statistic. You can say what the volatility is for a table game because the math is known, but with the constant or nearly constant or often changed distributions on slot machines, you don't know if it's going to be like a lot of small wins or if it's going to be very few, not very often big wins. And it can change with no obvious appearance because the curve was adjusted and not changing the theoretical payout. It's back and forth. A lot of decisions are made by casinos on choosing which curve to use, even if it's the same payout, based on player appeal. What do people like? They have all kinds of data about what do people like, and so they do what people like. And I'm sorry, that's kind of obvious, but they have a lot of information. Are Tuesday nights better than Friday nights? Well, yeah, but if Friday night's better than Saturday nights, well, maybe. Well, which night should we hold our promotion? Well, look at the data. Nobody's guessing here. Look at the data. What was Valentine's Day like last year? Well, that tells us whether or not we're going to do something this year. And they look at their own data very seriously. And so what do I think about the volatility? I think that there is a change in volatility. I don't think that the old reels versus newer games have it. Each casino has one system. It may have physical reels, it may have video reels, but when the physical reel machine showed up 5 years ago, before, 7 years ago, before any video slot machines, all those internals have been scraped out. The motors to turn the reels are still remaining, but those have been plugged into a board which is identical to the board in video slot machines. There's no two systems in the casino. The internals have been switched. And the video slot machines have the video drivers, and that's something only the video slot machines have. And the motors to turn physical reels, those are only in the physical reel machines, but the controlling board is identical on all of those. The one it came with a long time ago, not there anymore. So it's not like you're playing two different systems. It's one casino system. I think that answers your question. Question. Oh, we have a donation. Thank you, Linda, for your $10 donation. It is much appreciated. Thank you so much. Lots of conversations between... my moderator, Paula, has had a tough day. Be nice. Jim says, should I play with my player's card, or does it really matter? You win so much in the players club that it's lost money otherwise. Some people feel very strongly about it, and I just tell them, if you feel strongly about it, don't use it. Done. But mostly 90%, 99% of hand pays are people using a card. I have always used a card, and I've won just fine. You do get benefits from a card. It's comps and all the other stuff. But if you don't like comps, if you don't want free trips, if you don't want free food because you're on a diet, you don't like to travel, if you don't like comps, you kind of get down to like, why do I need a card? And so there's nothing lost then. But otherwise, card drawings, how many times do I have to have a card drawing before you might win? I'm 1 for 1. I don't think I'll enter another promotion for a card so I don't reduce my odds. Scratchin says, what is the logic behind putting 10-cent slot machine in the high? That is the strangest thing. I was at MGM Grand Detroit, and there was a 10-cent machine next to a $10 machine. So let's back this up a little bit. Casinos don't have storage. Why? Because they put slot machines in so you could play them. Every slot machine, the state of Indiana talks about how much money do they make on a slot machine. After returning 90% to players, how much profit per day before electricity and paying employees, how much money does a slot machine make per day profit? $518. $518 times 30.4 for number of days in an average month is $15,747. So they make the employee break room small because they don't want to. The floor space has got to be a casino floor, because if you can put one more machine in, they make $15,000. They could put a row of 5 in. What is that? That's nearly $80,000 if they can put 5 more slot machines in. So they don't have storage. So if they have to keep a machine, where would they put it? Somewhere, maybe somewhere out of the way. Maybe the high limit room. Not everybody goes to the high limit room. That's a place you could put something where it wouldn't be like too disturbing, because the main casino is where people are milling about and walking back and forth and seeing everything, where the high limit room kind of hides the fact that they have those machines. But when half the high limit machines are like dime machines, that seems like that kind of got out of hand. And I've seen casinos like that where it's, I think the other possibility is that they put those machines in the high limit room so people aren't scared. There's a lot of like, I don't go to the high limit room because it's kind of scary. But if you go in and you say, oh, there's a dime machine, I'm going to play a dime machine. It sort of like makes them comfortable. Because really what the casino is trying to do is get you in the door into the high limit room and not run away, get you comfortable because they feel that you'll bet a $10 machine eventually. Yeah. Yeah. The real barrier for casinos is getting anybody into a high limit room. Some places like to have a big open area in front of the high limit room. Some places, almost every casino. And they can watch people in the high limit room, and it's just to draw people in because that can work. It's kind of placement, organization of the casino floor. Speed Racer, do you think Indian casinos turn down their payouts during the weekend versus during the week like Las Vegas does? It seems to be a phenomenon in Nevada to do that. I haven't found it happening anywhere else. Could they? You get a lot because Indian casinos, any casino, commercial or tribal, if there's no nearby casinos where you have to drive like Hard Rock Tampa, or you have to drive 300 miles to go to the next casino, that's an isolated casino. Potawatomi in Wisconsin is like that. Some of the casinos opening in Virginia are like that, where you have to go a long ways in order to get to the next one. And then they can take some liberties. People will get upset, but what they're going to do? On the other hand, if you're in Philadelphia, then you can go 2 miles down the road to the other casino. They wouldn't dare. Penn National in Harrisburg, ABC 27, the report I was telling you about, it's at the bottom of my web pages. Go see that. That's isolated. The last few seconds of that 8-minute investigative report with the ABC 27 Evening News that I was interviewed for, the hosts talk among themselves about, so why isn't the Philadelphia casinos doing this? Because they're in Philadelphia, they're far away, and the local Penn National is isolated, and there's no competition is a significant difference. Like any business, competition matters. Question, Stephanie, are the odds of winning different on weekends versus weekdays? We see a lot of that experiences in Nevada, and it seems to be something they all like to do. It's pretty prevalent, but I haven't seen too much of that otherwise. If casinos without the traffic Las Vegas gets, without the traffic, the border towns, Verde, Wendover, Jackpot, there's a town called Jackpot. They're on the border of Nevada with another state, and those states get a lot of traffic from those bordering states, where they just drive into Nevada. Wendover in West Wendover are 2 towns, and the border drives right through the middle of it, and the casinos are like 50 feet from the state line on the Nevada side. And so a lot of people like to go on the weekends because that's their entertainment, from California, from Utah, from Arizona. So there's like a whole reason for doing that. But if you're in Virginia or you're in other states, Connecticut, then they can kind of get themselves in trouble without the sheer volume that casinos in Nevada get. And so they could get themselves in trouble because they could like lower their odds below the acceptable limit, and they could on the weekend, and they could say, well, we'll just raise it when, during the week. And then during the week happens and nobody shows up because the weather turned bad. And the people in the finance are like, oh no, that's not good. And so when you have lower volume, you have to be more careful about what you do. So if it happens, it's just not as dramatic as in Nevada. Um, that's what I that's how I look at it. Jim, yeah, max volume. That is a beautiful. Uh, if you understand YouTube, there's something called a viral video, very popular about 15 years ago. There's a technique to making something viral. You can have an email that you might receive from a Nigerian prince with lots of misspellings. All those misspellings are deliberate because it's meant for people to go, well, I could take advantage of this person because it's misspelled so much. And the person who sent it did it deliberately so that you would respond and think you had the upper hand, when in fact all that was deliberately fabricated. So there is someone out there, no need to mention names, who said max volume, do this, and people were just like, he did it beautifully, and it's a hoax that everybody spread. He didn't spread it. He told everybody he could, but then other people were like, I'm telling everybody else because you told me just now. That's how good it is. And people are, have channels where they specialize in defamation, in no judgment, and they specialize in hoaxes, no judgment. They're specialize in playing slot machines and poorly, and then editing out long losing streaks. No intention of educating you, but entertaining you instead, and they do well at it. Yeah. So that's one of the things that. Uh, uh, Thank you. Yes, I did do a video on it, and people were like, "How do you know? How do you know?" And I'm like, I'm out of the conversation. Question: would you pin to black? Would you say the low denomination machines in high limit rooms would have better odds, or the same as on the main floor? I can see reasons. I mean, you think about the reasons for low limit machines being in high limit rooms. If, in fact, the casino is trying to get people comfortable with the high limit room by giving them something that they can play that's low limits. Well, what better thing to do would be what better thing to do would be to let them win. I'm in the high limit room, I'm playing my normal denomination, and I won. What would that do to a player? Well, I'm going to take all that money and I'm going to put it into a $10 machine. Could that happen? It's, this is not coincidence. This is a plan. And I try to tell everybody here, casino's got a plan. Do you? So again, I love this opportunity. They may be trying to manipulate us. I would just love to see that. I mean, when I went to MGM Grand Detroit, I found one winning machine. It had 2 hand pays in the 3 hours that I was there. It's the only 2 hand pays I saw anywhere in the casino, and I was moving everywhere. I didn't stay in one spot. I was moving everywhere, and I saw 2 hand pays on a $2 machine in the high limit room next to the pillar. It's in my MGM Grand Detroit article, which machine it was, and it identified the name, and it was next to the central pillar, and it was right in the middle of the room where everybody could see it. And you go to that casino, play that machine. But is that what they're doing at your casino? Check it out. It's worth checking out, no doubt. Seen it done other places, but do they do it? I mean, I've been to casinos that didn't do the most obvious things to manipulate players, and I was like, did they hire somebody out of high school to, lay out their casino floor? Delta Downs, Jan's been there, and then they upgraded was it earlier this year? And they just redid everything, took down the plastic sheets that was the walls, so people walking by could hear the noise instead of it all being blocked. They put machines on the end of the row instead of not having machines on the end of the row, and they could all make it like they took the plant away from the entrance to the high limit room, so you could actually see into it. Just the little stuff that makes all the difference in the world. And now there's an opportunity to win because they did that. Casinos have a plan. Do you? Yeah. Somebody made a good chunk of change on that volume, hopes. Question from Scratchin. Should you cash out after losing many times in a row if you don't have a winning streak? I call it the tough love approach. I talked about this in the live streams for a while. Pardon me, I have to get a drink of water. And then I made a video and also a website article called The Tough Love Approach. You can search for it on YouTube or go to my website. And that's it. I say, make 10 bets. If you win anything at all, make another 10 bets for 20 total bets, and then decide whether or not you're winning enough. Chuck, who is often here but isn't here tonight, who many of you know, I sat next to him at Ameristar in Missouri, Riverboat Casino, and I said, and he had two bonus rounds, and I said, good enough, and he said, no, I would have preferred 3. Okay, moving on. So it's a tough love approach, and if you are winning and you aren't winning for a certain number of times, tough love, man. Walk away. And improve your slots performance in 30 days or less with my 30 days to play slots smarter and win online course. You'll get 3 free valuable bonuses, including 1 month free membership to my Slots Enthusiast Growth Network. Thursday night meetings are just wonderful, where you'll get community support and accountability. Visit professorslots.com/30 days to learn more about the free bonuses, course content, and testimonials from participants. But the price is going up on Sunday at the end of the month, where it will no longer be discounted at 40% off for $80 savings. You have until midnight on July 31st to lock in that $80 discount for lifetime access to the course. 12 days, 4 hours, 7 minutes, 51 seconds away. Okay, that's it. What a great live stream. You'll see me in my next live stream on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, watch this video on knowing when to walk away from a losing slot machine. Bye. And take care. Thanks so much.